What's going on, guys? The Barber Phil here, back again with another haircut tutorial. And in today's cut, we're going to be doing like a high taper in the temple area. We're not going to touch the back, and we're really not even going to touch the top other than to maybe texture it a little bit. So I'm going to leave a lot of these clips in real time and let you guys see the techniques. So as you guys could tell in the thumbnail, I used Tom Brady as an example. He did rock this haircut for a little while, I believe right before he left for Tampa Bay. I don't know that it's what he's rocking right now, but that's what I went with on the thumbnail. It's basically a high taper in the front and you leave the back. It's not a full-on mullet, but it's also not a mohawk. It's just a high taper. You leave the back and then you can do the top however you want. He is actually rocking it kind of as a comb-over, push-over styled haircut. So we're not even going to block off or taper out the back. We're just going to leave it as it is and let it continue to grow. So my first step was to create a bald section right there at the middle of the ear using the Babyliss FX trimmer. Now we're going to flick that out with the Wahl Cordless detailer. This is the starting initial steps of the fade. What we're going to do now, this is the Cordless Senior clipper, and then this is my Auster fast feed blade. I've got that lever all the way open, and we're just doing about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch section. I did go ahead and immediately close the lever all the way up, and then we're just going to flick out at that the detailer line below it. What I'm going to do here is use my comb, point to the spot where I know that I want this clipper to kind of feed off of the head. This is the 3-guard with the Andy's purple guard set. I've got the lever all the way open. We're just going to let that clipper ride along the head and then come off wherever his head starts to round up. That's the starting point. You can basically take a comb, lay it flush to his head, and where that comb starts to separate from the side of his head, that's where you know this clipper is going to want to feed off at. So we're going to close the lever up, clean up everything underneath of it, and then from there we can go ahead and continue to fade it out. So we're going to follow that 3-guard up by using the 2-guard. I'm going to start with it open like usual. We're going to flick it up through about halfway to 3/4 of the way through that closed 3-guard section we finished off with. Then you can slowly start to close this 2-guard up and drop down. As you start to close that lever, you slowly start to work your way down. You always go about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way up, just depending on the hair texture and stuff like that through the previous section, and that's how your fading down technique is going to work. As you close the clipper, you start to go down farther in the fade. That way you don't overlap or you don't create a section that's too big and then your color starts to get off and the fade isn't stretched out properly and you know, things of that nature. Right here is the 1-guard. We did the same thing, open, then you just saw me close it. We're just working right at that bottom line. Now what we can do, we take the guard off, or you can do a closed Andy's 0-guard. If this doesn't take it all the way out, you can always take the guard off, which is what we eventually end up doing. You can use the corners of your blade. Make sure that you don't necessarily have to use the full width of the blade. You only need to use the corners, the last few teeth. I might even zoom in here in a second so you guys can really tell that I don't have like right there is a good example. I angled that blade to where I'm only using the right side of it. And so that's a good technique, guys. It's a good way to pinpoint small dark spots that you notice. There's a little spot right here just above his ear that I noticed we needed to close that lever up a little bit, angle this in there, just use a few of the teeth on that cutting blade, and that's all we needed to do. I sped up around the ear, but we're just going to do a nice roundabout his ear. Make sure you fold that ear down, use the corners of your blade, and then a nice decent sharp line down the back. His hair is kind of longer, so you're not going to get a really crispy line down his neck. You just want to kind of keep it cleaned up a little bit. Go ahead, and here's where we're going to do the C-cup. And we'll do a small vertical bar, and we'll get right into the other side. I did go ahead and zoom this part in. I'm using my 40T blending shears, and I'll comb the hair back down here in a second. Basically what I'm trying to do is use the same as the blade technique. We're just going to use the last few teeth on these blending shears. I'm going to follow that line that arches from the fade there, and we're going to just kind of lightly try to blend that. I do switch over right there to my 13T chunking shears or point cutting shears, however you want to word it. I'm basically just trying to soften all this up, give it a nice soft look. Like I said, we're not going to do anything in the back as far as a fade. We're not even going to block it off. He just wants to leave it natural. So, you know, small details like that. If somebody says that they don't want to fade out the back, or they don't want to square it up or whatever, that doesn't mean you don't do anything to it. They're always going to have hair that grows down below this. Make sure you clean that up, pay attention to those little details, and your clients will definitely appreciate that. So I did speed this side up a little bit like I mentioned, but we're going to do the same thing, guys. We went ahead, set that 1 inch or so bald section right at the middle of the ear. I did go ahead and do a C-cup just so that we could see what it looks like right now before we start fading it out. We over directed that hair past that back beard line, put a nice sharp line there just to clean it up. Now we're using the cordless detailers to flick out that FX line. We've got that cordless senior with the Ulster fast feed blade. We've got the lever wide open, and I'm trying to think of the best way to describe my section here. It's basically, see where the round of the C-cup at an angle goes over to the top of the ear where it starts to round towards the front. That's a good description of where I decided to take that open section up to. And then we close that lever up, flick that bottom line out. Now we're going to do the same steps. We're going to do the 3 guard, and this side's a little different because this is the side that kind of does the comb over, I guess, if you will. So you don't want to take this obviously too high. Basically, if you can take the neckline, come up around the ear, and then angle that towards his top vertical bar, that's a good indication there of the line that I'm trying to. I didn't do that on purpose, but that is in this particular haircut a good reference point. So take that his neckline, come up around his ear, and then angle that towards the top of his vertical bar, and you can see that line pretty much is in tune with each other. But we just worked our way down as usual. 3 guard, 2 guard, 1 guard. This is the 0 guard, and I am still missing a tooth on the right side. I've got to quit talking about it, and I've got to order a new set. The problem is I think the 0 guard, that may be one of them things where I have to order an entire new set of guards just to get the one. So we'll see. I need to get on that. I did come in, detailed this side a little bit with the 1.5 guard, which I didn't do on the other side. So that was a little bit different. Making sure that we keep combing everything down so we can really see how it's laying. And then we'll come in blending shears and start to soften this up a little bit. He did have a spot right above his ear there that was kind of growing a little bit weird. I kept combing it one way and then combing it back the other way, just trying to figure it really out. And I don't know why, but I went ahead and zoomed in really well on this round about his ear. I wanted you guys to see some of the things that we're trying to do there. This is a really good angle. Keep combing that hair down past that line. We're just going to slightly put that in there. Use that right corner of our blade and just kind of round it around his ear. You always want to continue to comb that hair down that way, regardless of how he lays at night, or he runs his hands through his hair, or he puts his shirt on, or he wears a hat, whatever. That line right here will always be sharp. So that's another thing we're doing. We're taking that comb, kind of pulling that hair past it, and this line will always be, relatively sharp. He'll have a nice clean neckline. And that's basically what we're going for. This is not supposed to be a very well manicured haircut. It's going to grow longer in the back. That's the goal. But that doesn't mean we can't keep it somewhat, shaped up. So as you guys can tell, his beard is a little thinner up on the top part. So we didn't fade it too much, obviously. We did a nice little rough draft with the FXs, so that we can come in with the razor work here in a minute and knock that out. We're pushing the top line on his beard down just a little bit. And then we're going to use the Gamma Uno shaver to do the removal of some of this extra cheek hair. and then down his neckline, and then on his C-cup there. And guys, honestly, when I first got this, you think this is if you haven't messed with one, it's a very small shaver. Like, it is tiny, honestly. It only has one blade, but to be honest, for small things like that, just knocking some hair off the cheek, if you want to bump that shaver up to the neckline, if you do a taper, the top of the beard line, it is absolutely perfect for that. And so I find myself using it, not every haircut necessarily, but more often than what I initially, when I picked it up, thought I would use it. So, hats off to Gamma for that. Here, basically, I got that 13T blending shear, and because he is going to wear this longer, we're just going to take this, run it through there, do a couple clicks all the way up through there just to soften all the ends, in case he does throw some product in there and wants to kind of wear it messy. It'll have a little bit of texture to it, lighten it up, thin it out a tad bit. And so I'm going to do the same thing to the top. Start on that left side. Basically do one little click through that top. And actually, I'm going to zoom in here and show you guys exactly what this chunking shear does. See if I can slow it down and let you guys see. Alright, so if you've ever paid attention when you're using your blending shears, there's usually a 40T blending shear, and that means every time the cutting blade comes up through and you do a snip through there with the shears, it's going to snap 40 different places in the hair. So usually with the blending shears, that's more for softening up the hair a little bit on the ends. With these chunking shears, or whatever you want to call these, it takes 13 sections, because there's only 13 teeth on this one, and so it's going to texture the hair more of like a point cut style, because it's going to do way more damage, I guess, if you will, but in less sections. Hopefully that makes sense, and me zooming that in helped you guys understand that maybe a little bit better. So we added a little bit of the 245 shave gel there, spread it out throughout the area that we're going to shave, grabbed our razor, we're going to stretch that skin, hold the razor at a 45-degree angle, and bring it back to the line, keeping everything consistent. And basically, the only thing that I have against using shave gel versus dry shaving is the shave gel does seem to gunk up, of course, at that line, because that's what you're doing, is you're bringing all that stuff back to the line. So you have to make sure that you really wipe that area that you just shaved off. Double check it. If you got to come back in for a second time, make sure you do that. But I know that this client in particular, he does not do very well with dry shaving. So I always make sure that we pay attention to that from previous haircuts. Apply shave gel when needed. Dry shave when you can do it. And just be careful. Make sure that you always use a nice, new, clean blade, and you shouldn't have any problems. So here's the before, guys. It's a high taper on some straight hair. We didn't do anything to the back. This is, like I said, the Tom Brady haircut that he had at one point. Make sure, guys, you hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this tutorial. If there's anything in there that you guys appreciated, if you'd like to see something else in the future, hit me up. Let me know that. Consider subscribing if you're new. Hit that notification bell. That way you never miss another video from me. Sunday and Wednesday is the schedule as always. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't. And until the next video, guys, I appreciate it.